All right, we're live officially. Hello, everybody, and welcome to the 2025 season schedule release for Penguins Icebox. We are officially getting ready for this upcoming season, and you guys all waited 5 minutes, so most of you are already here. So I'm not going to take up too much of your time. We're just going to go right through it. I was going to try to make it kind of cinematic, but it, it would have taken too much effort and too much time. So we're gonna jump right into things. Custom schedule is gonna jump us in on Illinois because that's who our main user is, and he opens up the season at home against App State and Coastal Carolina, and then he has a bye week one. There's a lot of early buys. I want to let everybody know that there's a lot of early buys in this year because a lot of these games got sent way down the list. So Penguin got lucky. He has a couple bye weeks down the road. Well, I don't know if you consider that lucky, but a lot of our users have games right at the beginning of the year. Like they are very, or a lot of our users have bye weeks right at the beginning of the year. So they'll play probably 9 to 10 games in a row to end the year. And that's, judging on your mindset, is how you'll see how good that is. Anyways, to Coastal Carolina week 2, and then conference play against Maryland week 3, to Manhattan week 4 against Seagloss, who was a Final Four contender for the entire thing last year, so he's going to have a tough matchup there, Penguin is. And then his, honestly, conference play could go pretty well for him. I mean, judge other than Ohio State, no users, so no JIT and no Nebraska with Coach Biggs. So Penguin kind of got off lightly, I would say. But Ohio State obviously is going to be a tough one. He's going to be looking for that Turtle Trophy. I don't really know what it's called. He knows what it's called. I don't know what it's called. But this is his schedule. So we'll go down right through against Washington and Michigan State, both at home. USC on the road. Ohio State in Columbus. Wisconsin, Iowa at home. And then Memorial Stadium in Indiana and Ryan Field at Northwestern to end the year. So he's could be the Dickhead Trophy is a very good name for it. So they're going for the Dickhead Trophy in week 9. Jit, thank you very much for that. But so this is his 12-game schedule. Like I said, he should end up with possibly 8 wins in conference play at least, and then let alone a decently tough conference schedule at least, or non-con schedule. So we'll see how Bink plays that one. I think I'm just going to go right down the list. So let's go with our boy Army next. And Ballhawk, hope you're watching. So here is Army. So starting off, obviously, week 0. So we now have 2 week 0 user games, so that'll be interesting. And Mitchie Stadium's going to host Kansas State for the second year in a row. And he's going to bring Seagloss back. As we know, this is a patented rivalry now between two football powerhouses there. And then week 1 conference game against Memphis. So he's one of our users that get an immediate conference game, so could get an early lead on the American right out of the gate. A 78 overall now, so not a bad offseason for Army. And then going to Pitbull Stadium, that's what it is, Pitbull Stadium, against FIU, and then hosts Clemson for week 5. Again, a lot of early bye weeks, but then down the road gets a nice 10 games in a row. It's not 10, it's probably 8. But then, of course, Army, you have the tough 2 buys in a row. I apologize. Everybody gets 12 games. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Sorry, my voice is going to be ahead of where I'm actually jumping with this because the stream is behind my voice because I'm watching the TV, but the TV is behind because it's double stream. Anyways, Army, that's your schedule. I tried to plan this out much more so it would be competitive and fun. Last year we had a couple of users that were mismatched and stuff because we didn't really know anything about each other. We knew a little bit from Revamped, but there's also a lot new in this game, so some people who were good in Revamped aren't really as good in this game, but also the other way around. There's people who didn't play Revamped that are great that we didn't know about, so it was kind of a shot in the dark first season, but now we know the skill level of everybody, so we try to make it a little more even going along. So as for user games, K-State, that was asked for. FIU, Randy, you'll get to play Ball Hawk in week 5. You'll have to go on the road because going to Clemson would be awful. And at Georgia State, at Center Park Stadium near the end of the year for you there, Ball Hawk. So again, just like trying to kind of make it even for everybody. And there's Army's 12-game schedule there. And we'll go to Boise State now. Vaughn, opening week 1 with the matchup that we've waited for a while. It's the brothers. So, Oklahoma State and Boise are finally going to get that matchup that we've kind of been waiting for, and the brothers are going to get to play, which surprisingly, Oklahoma State is going to a ranked team. The group of 5, now group of 6 team is ranked, and Oklahoma State is going to have to try to, yes, the Brothers Bowl. Jet, I completely agree. So this is the Brothers Bowl right here in Oklahoma, Stillwater. So that'll be a lot of fun. We're finally going to get to see if they are the same person or not. And then a bye, again, early buys, so week 2 bye for Boise. And then I have to do the rematch. I want to see SportsCenter again. I want to see that shit on SportsCenter one more time. SMU, Boise State. This one in Albertson Stadium. It's going to be a good one again. To another ranked matchup. Probably be ranked at that point, too. That one is the SportsCenter Bowl. Before you even type it, Jet, I got you. SportsCenter Bowl. Then Smitty going to get his chance at Vaughn in Vaught-Hemingway Stadium in Mississippi. So that should be a good one as well. Another user game. So that's 3 user games off the bat for Boise. Then another break. Then a conference game against Stanford. Again, we reworked the conferences. It's in announcements if you need to go see it. Not too much change, but the Mountain West is definitely more competitive now. They're one of the upper conferences now. Basically, they're right on the fringe of a Power 5. But I digress. Then a game against Benji. I believe they played last year, so a rematch here at Notre Dame Stadium in South Bend, Indiana. And then rest of the way, get one more user game. Now in conference play with Bobby joining our Dynasty. Don't know if he's watching or not, but he's on this list as well too. But San Jose State and Bobby, they will get a crack this year as well. And then Oregon State and Wazoo, both conference games this year. So should be a lot of fun. But that is Boise's 12-game schedule right there. So let's move on. We'll go right to Randy with Clemson. And starting off the year, we saw it in that graphic yet again. Another week 0 game against San Jose State. So that's the third and final matchup in week 0. So Randy will play Bobby San Jose State at CEFCU Stadium in San Jose. Again, just trying to keep it even, trying to get matchups that we think that would be fun, but also competitive. At Ole Miss, so a rematch from last season, and I could not pass on this. This was a great matchup last year, much like the SMU Boise State game last year. Came down to a last-second Hail Mary. So Ole Miss and Clemson are going to run it back this year. Going to have to go to Ole Miss, so a tough game for Randy on the road, but just to make sure not everybody's getting like 7 home games or 7 road. We're trying to keep it as even as possible. Then into conference play with Syracuse, week 3, bye week. Then, of course, we saw Army earlier, Michie Stadium. And then FIU, they get it home. Clemson against FIU. So Coach will get his first crack in the ACC there. We'll get to Coach later. And SMU as well on the road. So not an easy year for Clemson, but when you're an 88 overall team, you should be expecting tough waters. But as for non-con, should be a lot of fun for Randy. And so should conference play. I think he's got a good team. And I'm excited to see what he can do with them. So now we're going to move to a top 3 user, or a top 4, I suppose, because there was 4 users, So anyway, a top 4 finisher in the league last year at preseason number 1, Georgia Tech. And Ghostface just finished up his game. I hope he's in this stream watching. Great season last year, brother. We're going to get right into it. You're a tough team. When you're a top 3 team, you get tough matchups, which is why that non-con looks nasty at South Carolina and at Michigan. Now, very similar overalls for both squads. So he should have. So both of these schools actually, all three of these schools have 5 home games. That's it. Look at all these road games for Georgia Tech. You do get Georgia at home at the end of the year. You played them in Athens last year. Now they're going to come to Atlanta, the ATL, and you're going to test their luck there. If you can beat them on the road, you can beat them at home for sure. Ghostface. But starting off with preseason number 1, you got a legacy to uphold. So I'm giving it to you straight. It is not going to be easy starting out on the road against Beamer. Again, just to make sure everybody gets like a similar amount of home games. If you went to South Carolina, Beamer would have 4 home games. That's the only reason you're there. Same with Jit. If Michigan came to Georgia Tech, he would have 4 home games. So you all have 5 home games. You're the only 3 with less than 5. Everybody else has 6 or 7. So nobody too high, nobody too low. But you guys did kind of get the short end of the stick, but that's what happens when you're good. So congrats, but also good luck. Starting off the year against Beamer in Williams-Brice Stadium, then going to Michigan Stadium. So two top 25 toughest places to play to start the year for you, Ghostface. And of course, some user games in conference, going to Ricardo Silva Stadium and to Gerald J. Ford Stadium. So 4 user games, 4 road games for GT. Gonna be a tough season for him, but I'm excited to see what he can do with it. Again, plays a lot of ranked teams in this conference. Georgia, Miami, Florida State, Syracuse, SMU, Michigan, South Carolina. FIU will probably be ranked by the time they get there. The father-son matchup. It's going to be a test for Georgia Tech, but a lot of chances to make up for lost time. Even if you drop one of these games, you're going to have a ranked team guaranteedly down the line. So I'm excited, but good luck to you, brother. Illinois we saw. So now we're going to move into another top 4 user as Kansas State enters the chat. Seagloss looking to improve on a top 10 ranking for the preseason and Final 4 finish last year. Army, off and up the air. You saw it. Yeah, everybody's staring at it. Everybody's looking at it. South Carolina. So we're going to get the Beamer Seagloss matchup. We almost got in the championship game. Almost. But a narrow win by Jit and a narrow win by Beamer. Didn't happen. But now we're going to get it in week 2 of the regular season. 2 early buys and a hosting of a top 15 team there as well, Illinois. So that's going to be 3 user games in non-con. He's one of the few group of Power 4 teams that only get 4 home game or 3 non-con games, but everything else, of course, ranked. And then a matchup yet again in Manhattan against Oklahoma State, and 6 home games, 6 away games for K-State. Oklahoma State, the rich boy rumble. Good one. That was solid. Don't want to taunt you too much, Seagloss, but Mrs. Big D just sent your name and a yawning emoji. So, just so you know, you are getting called out. So, Army on the road to start the year, South Carolina and Illinois at home. So, hosting 2 top 25 teams. And then, of course, on the road at Texas Tech, another top 25 team. Don't know how they were ranked. They were 8-5 last year, but yet they get a top 25 ranking, and yet 13-2 Coastal doesn't even sniff it. So that's awesome. UCF was in the playoff last year, got smoked by SMU, but they're going to host. Kansas State's going to host them this year. So another tough matchup there. And they'll see Kansas. I would not be surprised if we see Kansas at least near that top 25. But what a matchup to end the year in Lawrence, Kansas. That's going to be tough. Jit and Beamer did play Seagloss. If Jit and Beamer played, they did play. And I guess it would be called the Spam Bowl. So that was what our last national championship was a Spam Bowl. Anyway, again, couple early buys, but then a lot of games in a row with only 1 bye to break it up. So a lot a lot of early buys for a lot of users. So we should be able to move through the first part of the season pretty quickly, despite a lot of user games, and then right into conference play. It's time. It's time. Your previous national champion, Michigan Wolverines, starting off the season on the road at Kinnick Stadium against Iowa. He's going to have to test that tough defense. And then, of course, hosting Georgia Tech, the number one team in the nation in Ann Arbor. Should be fun. An 88 overall team for Jet this year, very similar to what we saw last year. And then bringing back the home and home from like 20 years ago, the Funeral Bowl, if that's Jet wants to call it. Bink, if you're watching, you're going to get your chance at the top dog, and you're going to have him at home. So all the pressure's on Jet there. Number 4 versus unranked App State. But trip to Boone won't be easy, of course. And then no conference. We knew that was there. We saw it. No, we didn't. South Carolina and Michigan. So basically, the top 3 teams from last year all play each other. So you have South Carolina, Michigan, Georgia Tech, Michigan, Georgia Tech, South Carolina. Those are the 3 all do like a little round robin. So, but in conference play, no users, but of course a tough matchup against the number 2 team in the country as of right now. So yeah, you've got a matchup against Bink there, Jet. So there's Michigan. Again, 2 early buys, so a lot of us will see buys in either week 1 and 2 or 3 and 4. But number 11 Oregon is a big highlight, but other than that, really not tough. And then of course the game to end the year. This one also in Ohio Stadium. I don't know how that happened, but here we are. So bit of a trap game here against App State. Of course, don't want to put up too much attention to it. And then Georgia Tech is the marquee matchup, week 3 of the season. So we'll move on to another Big Ten team here with a new member. Coach Biggs in Nebraska will open up the year at App State. So 2 big matchups for Bink against users. I believe Bink plays one of the most used. I believe he plays 5 or 6. 90% of people in here play like 4 or 5 users. So we get a solid amount of user matchups again this season, which is great. And again, we know more about each other now, so it should be a lot more competitive and close. You're also going to get a matchup against Bench in Center Park Stadium in the ATL, and the coach matchup, Coach G and Coach B. This one's going to be in Pitbull Stadium in the 305. So 3 road games to open out the year, but still 6 home games, 6 road games, so a lot of home in conference play, including home matchups against Ohio State and Oregon and Penn State. So big matchups for Nebraska. But hey, you want all the smoke, Bing, so you're getting the smoke. I don't want to hear it. You are getting the smoke. Don't you mean rip us? Go make a statement, man. The dink belt. Come on. So here is Nebraska. I'm actually going to count really quick. Okay, we're good. I just had to count. There it is, Bink. Loved the energy. So, also a game for you against Nebraska here. That's going to open up week 1. Of course, there's a couple week 0 games, and you play in one of them against Illinois. So, App State's getting a solid taste of the Big Ten here. Maybe a little preview for a season or 2 from now. Who knows? Maybe App State will move up. But so 3 Big Ten opponents for Bink, and we'll get to it later on. But we're pretty much seeing his entire schedule right now. But there's the 3 user games, and we'll move on to our only independent now, Benji in Notre Dame. Again, coming in from the independent, so his schedule's a lot easier to fix. And starting off week 1, SMU at home, number 6, SMU in Kid Cutta, rocking it in Indiana. Then Miami The next week, number 14 team in the nation. And of course, y'all saw the incredible Purdue performance. So it's really no surprise that they're a top 25 team to start this year. But here's the matchup again, requested by Bink. App State will play Notre Dame. This one will be in Notre Dame Stadium. So another user matchup for Bink. And then down the list a little bit, Georgia and the Fighting Irish will travel to ATL again to play Bench and Georgia State. And then Boise will come to town in Indiana to protect that top 25 ranking. It was a good game last year. Benji put up a fight for sure against Vaughn. And now we're going to see it happen again. I wanted to see it again. And then, of course, a couple rivalry games, USC, Navy, Boston College, Pitt, and Stanford. All rivalry games for Notre Dame. So had to leave a couple of those alone. And, of course, Miami was one as well. So there's Notre Dame Fighting Irish schedule. Again, a lot easier than, most teams because you don't have a conference schedule. I can just put games wherever I want. So it's basically where everybody else was free. Like your team is the equivalent of like, oh yeah, whenever, man. Like I'm free whenever, man. That's your conference schedule, which is very easy to work with. So moving down to another Power 4 team, another revamped guy, Oklahoma State. And we'll see his schedule. We already saw his Week 1 matchup. We know who he's going up against. We know we got the Brothers Bowl. So we got Week 1, 25. I appreciate that, Benji. I did try pretty hard to get some good matchups for everybody. And then San Jose State, we did not see that yet. So San Jose State is going to take a trip to Boone Pickens Stadium against Oklahoma State. So we'll get a nice test of both of these guys' skill, ability in this game. Of course, Oklahoma State did lose one of those better players in Oliver. So Ollie Gordon no longer on the team, so he's going to have to find a bit new offense. And then at SMU, so SMU is going to get a taste of both brothers here with Oklahoma State and Boise State in non-conference. And then moving into conference play, of course, we know that Oklahoma State, Kansas State rematch was going to happen. This one, again, on the road in Kansas State. But another tough matchup against Colorado to end out the year. So that's 2 years in a row that Oklahoma State and Colorado played last season of the game. So very interesting. And another ranked team here for Texas Tech. They'll play Texas Tech Week 7. But there is the conference schedule. 2 more early buys for Oklahoma State. We'll move on to another Power 4 in Smitty. Ole Miss coming up next. And he's going to open up the season at Brooks Stadium in Coastal. We played in our other league in the Couch Warmers, and it was a lot of I respect him calling out the commissioner. It was ballsy. I respected it, and I definitely want to crack at Caleb Downs and all them. So it's it'll be an honor to play Smitty again. I always enjoy talking to the kid, and I love playing against him. So it'll be fun. And then a matchup against Clemson. We did see that. Another rematch from last year. Should be a great game. And Boise. We did see this one as well on Boise's schedule. So there's the non-con for Ole Miss. Of course, that's the only 3 we're going to get because they play 9 conference games now. Oh, and if you didn't see, every conference now has a neutral site conference championship game. So nobody will host a conference championship anymore. Everybody plays neutral site games. And I thought that was a nice touch that we added. So it should be a lot more fun. Adds more suspense to it, I think. Kind of makes it feel like a big deal, which it is. I mean, if you make your conference championship, that's a big deal, at least in my eyes. So moving down a little bit. This was interesting. Last season, we didn't get to see this. There are 2 users in the SEC, as we all know. And we're finally going to get to see them match up for a conference game. This one in Mississippi, so South Carolina and Ole Miss. I don't believe they matched up last year. I could be wrong, but I don't believe they did. Maybe they did early on. Maybe they did earlier in the year. If they did, I apologize. But I don't remember them doing that. And either way, we're gonna get them this season Okay, they did play last year. I got you. So another rematch of this game now. Gotcha. Thanks, Beamer. So a rematch here between two SEC powerhouses. Hopefully, Ole Miss can climb that ladder yet again. Thanks for the final score update. We didn't need that. I didn't ask for that, Beamer. So here's Ole Miss's schedule. This is what they're looking at. 4 user games on the year, 6-6. Home games, away games. And now we're gonna move into another one of our new users, in Bobby, our new roommate, Penguin and I's new roommate. He's gonna open the year versus Clemson. So he's gonna host Randy in the week 0 matchup. Should be very even, or at least I think so. Even though his team's 76 overall, I do think he can put up a fight. So we're gonna see that one. Just a nice test of skill. We'll see. And then going to Central Michigan for a bit of a tune-up game, I'd say. It is on the road, but that's just keep it even. And I don't think you're gonna get much of a stadium pulse. It's okay, Beamer. It's okay. you can score a drop. You earned it. Kelly Short Stadium, I don't think is gonna have much of a stadium pulse. So we'll see. But that's more like a tune-up game for him. And then at Oklahoma State, which we saw, go to Boone Pickens Stadium. That's going to be a tough test for Bobby and the Spartans. And then Coastal Carolina comes to town, a ranked team from last year, a top 8 team from last year. It's going to come to CEFCU Stadium in San Jose. So that should be fun. And then another user, the only other user with 2 back-to-back bye weeks. Just how it worked out, I would rather do this than just schedule random CPU games. I would rather everybody get to play at least like 4 users, 3 or 4 users. So 2 back-to-back bye weeks. I apologize, but then you don't have one the rest of the year, so you get a bunch of games in a row. And of course, a matchup in Albertson Stadium in Boise, Idaho. Fun fact: Bobby is from Idaho, so that's why he picked a Mountain West team, because he would have picked Boise for sure if he didn't. If Vaughn didn't already snag them, but he's gonna get a matchup with him, so we'll see. He's from Boise, Idaho, big BSU fan. And we're going to see him play his team in Albertsons. I'm sure he's been to multiple games. So there's San Jose State. I believe he has 6-6 as well. So we'll move on to another top 8 user in Kid Cutta with SMU. Open out the year we saw at Notre Dame. And then going to FIU week 2 of the season for what is now a conference game. Of course, FIU did move up a conference, so that is going to be in Pitbull Stadium. That stadium should be rocking for the ACC. I'm genuinely excited for Coach to start his new ACC career. And then we saw Boise State going to get a crack at him, as well as Oklahoma State. So both brothers in back-to-back games, one on the road, one at home. So that should be fun. And then Georgia Tech in conference play we saw, as well as Clemson. So I believe 5 user games. That's 6 user games for SMU. One of, I believe, 2 or 3 users with 6 user games. So not an easy season, but could definitely have some help with bragging rights and rankings. Starting off 6th in the nation, SMU is. So he should have a fun year. Again, starting off with 4 straight user games, then a game against Miami at Hard Rock Stadium, then Georgia Tech at home, number 1 team in the nation, Florida State on the road, and then finishing off with a couple cupcakes and Clemson. And NC State is nothing to sneeze at there, though. So that's it there. And we'll move on yet again to our what could have been our runner-up. Beamer is next with his schedule. Now we've already seen what his non-con looks like. Georgia Tech and Kansas State right out the gate. He'll play 2 top 10 teams to start off his season. Again, trying to build off that runner-up campaign in the, what do we call it? The Cheese Bowl? Something like that? I don't know, that's what Seaglass called it. But anyway, then some ranked games, of course, going to Georgia in Athens. That's going to be tough. And then you get the Gators at home. I think they're overrated, but this game seems to think that a 9-4 schedule is good enough. But 13-2 isn't. I'm salty. Anyways, moving on down the list, of course, they get Texas this year. So a tough matchup there. They were 8-5 last year, though, so that's interesting. And then ending off the year with 2 user games. So one in Vaught-Hemingway Stadium in Oxford, Mississippi against Smitty and Ole Miss. And then a home game against the team, the runner-up for number 4 Michigan. Back-to-back, by the way. I should say back-to-back. Jit has won 1 title, but Coach Jit has won 1 title. But Michigan themselves have won back-to-back championships. So we saw South Carolina, and now we're going to move into the teams that kind of don't really make sense. Like why they're down here, I guess I should say. Because like FIU, Georgia State, App State are all down here, not in alphabetical order. Either way, you're seeing the schedule right there, opening off the game against a Florida opponent, USF. And you'll see really quickly that Coach will have 5 user games to start off the year. That's because the ACC put it where the sun don't shine. Just for good measure, at Pitt, at Duke, at North Carolina, at Wake Forest, at Boston College, all road games, and at Clemson, I should say, against Randy. So all of his early games are at home, pretty much just to make up for the fact that conference play pretty much fucked him. So USF to open up the season, and then 4 or 5 straight users. SMU, number 6 in the nation, coming to Pitbull Stadium. Army will come to town as well. The Black Knights and Ballhawk will come to town, and then we get the coach matchup. We saw this already, but this is the other side of the coin. Coach matchup. Coach B versus Coach G. Nebraska will also come to Pitbull Stadium. Georgia Tech, father-son yet again. They get to play in ACC play, which is kind of cool. Now it really matters. So yeah, Coach got a tough schedule, but at the end of the year, at least he's got definitely some winnable games here. Boston College will be tough. NC State will be tough, and of course the game against Randy in South Carolina will be super tough as well. But should be fun for him. This is the challenge he wanted, coming to FIU in the ACC. This is what he wanted, and he got a challenge, but should be a lot of fun for him. It'll be fun to watch. And after this, we'll pick, after everything kind of settles down, once we get into week 0, we'll pick our some of our games of the week that we'll want to do, because we definitely do want to do some more streams this week. As you saw, the little rebranded logo, just trying to keep everything fresh and updated. And we'll move into Benchy Boy. Georgia State, another member, or the first member of the Bink Belt. I believe it ends off all Sun Belt members. I don't know why. But here we are no matter what. So he's going to Buffalo to start the year at UB Stadium. I believe I changed this to Jack State, so I'm actually going to do that now. Wherever they are. There they are. Okay, so apologies. So Georgia State is going to start off the year at Jack State. Yes, on the fly changes. I did not mean to do that. So he'll be on the road for that one, because I believe Bench has 7 home games, and he would have 8 if I gave him that one. So he'll be home against Nebraska, against Coach B, and then goes to Texas State, who was damn near a tournament bid, a top 12 team bid in last season. Then he'll play Benji at home, couple of conference games, then go play Army at home, and then he'll end the year with 2 user games, one against App State Bink, and then the other against me at Brooks Stadium. That's never easy, coming to the Teal Field, but it'll be fun nonetheless. Georgia State up to an 81 overall now, so a solid offseason for him. He's right behind Coastal, who was a solid team last year, or who was, top 12 in the nation. So moving into second to last on our list, App State. Here it is, Bink. I mean, you know what it is mostly. You saw all this. Those are your 4 non-con games. Illinois, number 15, on the road. Nebraska at home. Benji on the road at Notre Dame. And then, of course, getting to host Michigan at Kid Brewer Stadium. That's a big deal. And then pretty much just conference games after that. Go to Coastal Carolina. Go to Coastal yet again. Don't really know how that works either. But an 84 overall team should have no problem, right? We'll find out. And then to Georgia State at Center Park. So two more user conference games here in the Dink Belt. The Dink Bink Belt. But a lot of, so we saw Bink's schedule already. And I believe, we've seen most of mine. But we'll see it officially here. I'm playing Ole Miss week 0, and then I wanted Charlotte because I'm tired of this damn game disrespecting me. Shit, Bink's getting disrespected too. But I'm playing number 21 team in the nation. They went 11-3 last year, went 7-1. Somehow they got a better record than me, or somehow they get higher ranked than me. I'm not even in the coaches poll, not even in nothing. I'm not even getting votes yet. So I want Charlotte at home. Week 1, and then of course the home and home matchup. Yeah, I got you. We'll go back to it in just a second. So we got at Illinois, so that's our little home and home. That'll be my third game of the season. Week 2 in back-to-back years. It's going to be a lot different this time for sure. Both two teams that we know a lot about. I got you, brother. And then, of course, at Bobby in San Jose State in CEFCU Stadium. Let me get Kent State or I'm out of non-con. Yeah, they're out of non-con games. So every conference has at least 8 games, Bink. So we have 8 because we're kind of a smaller conference. So unless I take away one of these guys on your schedule, unless I took away one of these guys, I couldn't give you. I got you, Coach G. I'm glad you like. I tried to make it as even as possible and as competitive as possible. That was the goal. So I hope that y'all did like. I'm going to take a look at GT one more time. Does anybody else need me to go back to their schedule? I'll probably send like photos or a list in the chat just so everybody has it. But in case anyone wants to see it visually, you got one of the tougher ones, man. I can't lie. You got kind of the poop end of the stick. I was explaining earlier. You 3 all get 5 home games. You're the only 3 with 5. Everybody else gets 6. How the hell am I number 1? Because you had a great season and you returned a lot of guys. Up to an 85 overall now. But you go to South Carolina and to Michigan to start the year. So it's going to be a tough start. But like I said, if either one of those guys came to you, they would have 4 home games, if that makes sense. So you guys all have 5, and you guys all do like a round robin thing. So you play both of these guys, and then they play each other. So it's like a little round robin between probably the best 3 users in here. So should be a lot of fun. And if you think that I'm wrong, and then I'll go down, I guess, the list for you here. You play Coach in conference play, and then SMU. Both those games on the road. Like I said, you're one of the only 3 with 5. You kind of got the crap end of the stick. You do get Georgia at home this year, though, so another ranked matchup to boost your rank near the end of the year. But other than that, unless anybody thinks they need to see their schedule again or they wanted to ask questions, I'm here. Just type it in the chat. I'll answer it as fast as I can. But that is the official schedule release. For sure, those 2 got the hardest schedules. Bing got a ridiculously hard schedule. Bing did kind of get fucked a little bit. He's got 2 ranked teams. I mean, to be fair, Bing does have a tough schedule, but I mean, with an 84 overall team, I think he should be pretty solid. I mean, he does play 2 ranked users, but in some of these games, it's going to come down to skill because these teams are all pretty even. Well, these 2 teams are at least for sure. Notre Dame and Michigan are a little better, but at least you get Michigan at home for sure. That's tough. So Georgia Tech, South Carolina have some tough schedules. I mean, so Kansas State's going to play Beamer as well. Those 2 pretty much asked for games, which is why like Kansas State doesn't play Michigan type deal. They don't get like that rematch. But so an Army asked for K-State, and then these 2 pretty much asked for each other. The South Carolina and K-State, Beamer and Seagloss, the Rich Boy Bowl, they pretty much asked for it themselves. And then Seagloss asked for Penguin as well, and those are his 3 non-con games. So that's where that ended up. So, all right, well, I think that's everything. Like I said, if you have any questions, let me know real quick before I send you guys off. But otherwise, like I said, I tried to be as even as possible. I tried to make this competitive and close. I was looking at what we thought was an accurate user rankings, and we're like, okay, well, these two teams would be good, these two teams would be good, and whatever worked on the schedule. So everything worked out pretty well. Like I didn't have a matchup that I couldn't find a way for. When is Vance? Tomorrow night, big, because Garrett won't be home and he needs to do his recruiting. So Penguin's got to come home and Daddy's got to come home and do his recruiting, and then we'll advance to week 0. Week 0 coming up tomorrow, folks. We are going to have a great season yet again. This one's going to be a lot more competitive. Anyone want fried gamecock? Yeah, baby. Start the trash talk already. But yeah, week 0 tomorrow. We'll advance, so make sure you get your recruiting done. Anybody in here, make sure you get your recruiting done and all that. Get your preseason table set up. And we're going to have a hell of a good year in the Icebox. So thanks, guys, for being here. There was a lot of you in here. I appreciate y'all being here and being active. You guys are what makes this worth it. I mean, it's tough work sometimes, but you guys are what make it worth it. So I appreciate you wanting to be here and being active. That means a lot. So thank you. And unless anybody has anything else, I'll see you guys probably tomorrow when we stream one of the games, depending on when it happens. But we'll probably stream at least one of them. So thanks for watching, fellas, and Mrs. Big D. And I will see you tomorrow. Thanks again.